Welcome, beings of lesser intelligence, to the most spectacular display of combat prowess in the known galaxy, the Galactic Combat Simulation Championship, where warriors from across 17 star systems gather to prove who can kill each other the most creatively in virtual reality. Because apparently, regular reality wasn't quite destructive enough. Our reigning champion, ladies and gentlemen and gelatinous blob creatures, is the one, the only, the unnecessarily violent Vex Murderclaw, standing at 8 feet of pure reptilian rage, with scales that could deflect plasma cannons and a personality that makes black holes seem cheerful. Vex has held the championship title for 3 consecutive cycles, which in galactic standard time is roughly equivalent to forever in terms of his opponent's life expectancy. Behold my magnificent claws of doom. Vex roars into the arena's floating cameras, flexing appendages that look like they could carve through starship hulls. I shall render my enemies into component atoms and then mock their atomic structures. The tournament announcer, Glorb Smooth Talk, a gelatinous being whose voice somehow manages to sound pompous, despite coming from what appears to be a talking puddle of cosmic jello, oozes excitement through the arena's speakers. Folks, we've got 17 species represented today, each bringing their unique evolutionary advantages to this bloodbath of glory. We've got the crystalline warriors of Zephyron Prime, whose bodies can literally shatter opponents with sonic frequencies. The phase-shifting assassins from the Nebula Collective, who can become incorporeal at will. And the fan favorites, the Berserker clans of Agro 7, whose anger management issues make Vex look like a meditation instructor. As qualifying rounds commence, the arena transforms into a showcase of galactic superiority complexes. Crystalline beings demonstrate their sonic shattering techniques on practice dummies that explode in showers of sparks. Phase shifters pop in and out of reality like cosmic whack-a-moles with abandonment issues. Berserkers charge headfirst into walls just to prove they can walk through the resulting debris. Each species takes their turn explaining to the broadcast audience why their particular evolutionary path makes them obviously superior to everyone else. It's like a nature documentary, if nature documentaries were hosted by egomaniacs with death rays. Then, precisely 17 minutes before the registration deadline, something unprecedented happens. A late entry appears on the tournament roster. Species, human, planet of origin, Earth. Combat experience, unknown. Special abilities, listed as questionable decision-making skills. Well, announces Glorb, his gelatinous form rippling with what might be amusement, it appears we have a last-minute contestant. Some random human girl from that backwater planet Earth, who probably clicked the wrong link while browsing their primitive internet network. How delightfully tragic for her. And thus begins what the galactic combat historians would later record as either the greatest upset in tournament history, or the most expensive practical joke ever perpetrated on an interstellar scale. As the tournament brackets materialize in holographic splendor above the arena, we meet our cast of soon-to-be humbled champions. First up, Zap Thunderbolt, a being of pure energy who somehow manages to look smug despite not having an actual face. He crackles with electricity and speaks in a voice that sounds like a lightning storm having an argument with itself. Observe, inferior life forms. Zap announces, shooting bolts of energy that spell out his name in the air. I am composed of the fundamental forces of the universe. Your primitive matter-based existence cannot comprehend my power levels, which are frankly off any reasonable chart. Next, we have Princess Slicey McStabface, royalty from the assassin courts of Bladetopia, where apparently they take their naming conventions very seriously. She's draped in enough knives to stock a cutlery store, and speaks with the kind of refined accent that suggests she learned diction from watching period dramas while practicing murder. My family has perfected the art of elegant elimination for 7,000 years, she declares, twirling a blade that seems to cut through the very concept of safety. Each strike is a masterpiece of precision, each victory a testament to superior breeding and training that you common rabble could never achieve. Then there's Tank Smashington, who is exactly what his name suggests, a sentient boulder with anger management issues and the intellectual depth of sedimentary rock. He communicates primarily through grunts and the sound of things being crushed, which his translator device helpfully converts to phrases like tank crush puny things, and tank is very tank-like in tankness. As these paragons of galactic evolution preen in posture, a small commotion occurs near the registration desk. Someone appears to be having an argument with the check-in android about snack availability. But do you have anything that's not, radioactive? Asks a distinctly human voice. I'm not really in the mood for glowing food today. Also, is there Wi-Fi here? Because my phone keeps trying to connect to something called Galactic Death Network, and that seems sketchy. Enter Maya Rodriguez, 24 years old, wearing jeans and a t-shirt that reads "I survived my college finals," and carrying what appears to be a peanut butter and jelly sandwich wrapped in aluminum foil. She looks around the arena of cosmic warriors with the expression of someone who just realized they took a wrong turn at Albuquerque, except Albuquerque is now 17 galaxies away. The other contestants exchange glances that, across species barriers, universally translate to seriously. Glorb's announcement voice takes on the tone of someone explaining quantum physics to a houseplant. Now Miss Rodriguez, the rules are quite complex, so please pay attention. This is a combat simulation, where contestants utilize their species' natural advantages and learned combat techniques to eliminate opponents in virtual environments that test every aspect of warrior capability. Maya nods thoughtfully, while taking a bite of her sandwich. So it's like a really intense video game. It is the ultimate test of combat supremacy across the known universe. Vex Murderclaw growls from his corner, where he's been practicing intimidating roars. Right, so like Call of Duty but with more tentacles, Maya replies, then looks around the group. Has anyone tried just talking it out instead of fighting? Conflict resolution is really underrated these days. The silence that follows could have been measured in geological epochs. The first elimination rounds begin with all the subtlety of a supernova having a midlife crisis. The arena transforms into a series of combat environments that would make a Hollywood special effects team weep with envy. Volcanic landscapes, zero-gravity asteroid fields, underwater cities, and something that looks like the inside of a kaleidoscope designed by someone with serious psychological issues. Vex Murderclaw's first match is against Grindor the Terrible, a six-armed warrior from the spinning Death Galaxy, who specializes in what can only be described as aggressive interpretive dance with sharp objects. The arena becomes a gladiatorial coliseum, complete with cheering holograms of long-dead civilizations. "Behold my spinning technique of ultimate doom," Grindor announces, launching into a whirlwind of blades that creates its own weather system. Vex responds by doing what he does best, being unreasonably violent. He charges through the spinning death tornado, grabs Grindor by 4 of his 6 arms, and proceeds to use him as a very loud, very sharp jump rope. The match ends when Grindor admits defeat through a series of high-pitched squeaks that his translator renders as "Please stop, I have a family." Magnificent brutality, Glorb oozes with approval. Vex demonstrates once again why subtlety is for species that lack proper claws. Next up, Zap Thunderbolt faces off against Commander Crunchface, a cybernetic warrior whose body appears to be 50% robot and 50% poor life choices. The arena becomes an electrical storm simulator, which should give Zap a significant advantage, considering he is electricity. "Prepare to be processed by superior technology," Commander Crunchface declares, his voice sounding like a computer that learned to speak by watching action movies. Zap's response is to become a living lightning storm, crackling and sparking until the entire arena glows like a cosmic disco ball. "I am the fundamental force that powers your inferior machinery," he announces, sending bolts of energy in every direction. "I shall overload your circuits and then mock your warranty." The battle lasts exactly 14 seconds. Commander Crunchface attempts to activate his energy shields, which work perfectly until Zap simply becomes the energy powering them. The cybernetic warrior finds himself in the deeply uncomfortable position of being defeated by his own defensive systems, which begin playing victory music while simultaneously announcing his elimination. Princess Slicey McStabface draws Wobbler Jenkins, a blob-like entity from the Gelatinous Confederation, who moves like sentient pudding and has the combat instincts of wet soap. The arena transforms into an elegant ballroom, complete with chandeliers and classical music, because apparently the simulation has a sense of irony. "Witness the artistry of noble combat," Princess Slicey announces, drawing 17 different knives from locations that seem to violate several laws of physics. She begins what can only be described as a deadly ballet, spinning and slicing through the air with movements so precise, they leave geometric patterns in the holographic dust. Wobbler Jenkins attempts to fight back by wobbling aggressively. He bounces around the ballroom like a rubber ball filled with existential dread, occasionally making squelching sounds that might be battle cries or possibly just the noise wet things make when they move too fast. The princess dispatches him with a move she calls the 17 cuts of aristocratic superiority, which involves carving her family crest into the air while simultaneously eliminating her opponent. Wobbler Jenkins dissolves into component molecules while somehow managing to look impressed by the craftsmanship. Tank Smashington's match against Flutter McWingspan, an insectoid aerial combatant, takes place in a canyon environment with strong wind currents designed to favor flying opponents. This seems like poor planning until Tank demonstrates his primary tactical philosophy: when in doubt, hit things harder. Flutter attempts to use aerial superiority and hit-and-run tactics, buzzing around Tank like an oversized mosquito with delusions of grandeur. My speed and agility shall overcome your brute force approach, Flutter announces in a voice that sounds like a xylophone having an argument. Tank's response is to grab large rocks and throw them with the accuracy of a geological catapult. Tank throw rocks at Buzzy Thing, his translator helpfully explains. Tank has good arm for throwing. The match ends when Tank throws a boulder so large it creates its own weather system. Flutter gets caught in the gravitational field and crashes into the canyon wall, where he sticks like a very expensive piece of modern art. Throughout these displays of galactic combat prowess, Maya sits in the contestant area, finishing her sandwich and taking notes on what appears to be a napkin. When asked by a roving reporter android what she thinks of the competition so far, she responds with the devastating observation: "Everyone seems really committed to making this way more complicated than it needs to be." The first round concludes with 16 contestants eliminated, and the crowd of several trillion beings across the galaxy settling in for what Glorb promises will be even more spectacular violence in the upcoming rounds. Maya advances to round 2 by default, since her scheduled opponent Terra McFrightface accidentally eliminated himself during warm-ups by forgetting which end of his weapon was the dangerous part. Round 2 begins with the remaining contestants feeling confident about their prospects. After all, they've just demonstrated their superior combat abilities to a galactic audience, and there's only one human left who seems more interested in snack availability than strategic warfare. Maya's first real opponent is Tank Smashington, who has advanced by the simple strategy of hitting things until they stop moving. The arena transforms into a rocky desert landscape with scattered boulders, which seems like home field advantage for someone whose primary skill is being boulder adjacent. "Tank smash human girl now," Tank announces, flexing muscles that appear to have their own gravitational field. Tank very good at smashing. Tank has references. Maya looks around the arena thoughtfully, then walks up to Tank with the casual confidence of someone asking for directions to the nearest coffee shop. "Hey Tank, quick question. Have you ever considered that maybe you're not actually a tank? I mean, when you really think about it, aren't you more like a very slow, very large turtle?" Tank pauses mid-flex. His massive brow furrows as he processes this information. "Tank turtle. I mean, look at the evidence," Maya continues, gesturing helpfully. "You're slow, you have that shell-like rocky exterior, and you spend a lot of time just sitting in one place. Plus, turtles are actually pretty zen creatures. Very peaceful. Maybe your whole smashing thing is just stress from not embracing your true turtle nature." Tank looks down at himself, then at Maya, then back at himself. Tank, peaceful turtle. Absolutely. Why don't you try some deep breathing exercises? Just sit down. Maybe meditate on the concept of inner turtleness. Tank sits down heavily, causing a small earthquake. He closes his eyes and begins making what can only be described as contemplative rumbling sounds. Within 30 seconds, he's fast asleep, snoring like a geological formation having pleasant dreams. The arena's elimination sensors, confused by this turn of events, eventually decide that Tank has voluntarily withdrawn from combat, and declare Maya the winner. Glorb's commentary voice reaches frequencies that suggest he's experiencing some kind of existential crisis. "Ladies and gentlemen, what just happened? Did she just convince a boulder to take a nap?" Maya's second match is against Princess Slicey McStabface, and the arena becomes an elegant garden maze filled with reflecting pools and flowering death plants that explode when disturbed. It's the kind of environment designed for stealthy assassination and graceful combat, which makes Maya's approach all the more baffling. "Prepare yourself for the dance of 1,000 cuts," Princess Slicey announces, drawing her ceremonial blade collection with flourishes that create small light shows. "I shall eliminate you with such artistry that your defeat will be displayed in the Royal Gallery of Beautiful Deaths." Maya interrupts this dramatic declaration by enthusiastically applauding. "Oh my gosh, is that outfit custom made? The embroidery work is absolutely incredible. And those knife sheaths, are they hand-tooled leather? They must have cost a fortune." Princess Slicey pauses mid-threatening pose. "Well, yes, they are from the finest craftsmen in the assassin courts, but that's hardly." "And your hair," Maya continues. "How do you get it to stay perfect during combat? I can barely keep mine looking decent during a light jog. Do you have a special stylist? Or is it some kind of royal hair magic? I'm so jealous." The Princess of Assassination finds herself in the unprecedented situation of discussing beauty tips with her opponent. Actually, it's a combination of zero-gravity conditioning treatments and a special polymer spray that is fascinating, Maya says, pulling out her phone to take notes. "Would you mind if I got a selfie with you? My friends back home are never going to believe I met actual royalty. You're like, impossibly elegant." 20 minutes later, Princess Slicey McStabface has completely forgotten about the competition and is giving Maya a detailed tutorial on proper knife care and maintenance. She's so thoroughly charmed by having someone appreciate her aesthetic choices that she accidentally walks into one of the exploding death plants while demonstrating advanced twirling techniques. "I can't believe I just lost to someone complimenting my accessories," she mutters as the elimination field activates. "This is either the most sophisticated psychological warfare I've ever encountered, or I have serious self-esteem issues." Maya's semi-final match is against Zap Thunderbolt, the being of pure energy who has been looking forward to demonstrating his superiority over primitive matter-based life forms. The arena becomes a high-tech power plant, with exposed electrical systems everywhere, basically a playground for someone made of lightning. Finally, Zap crackling with anticipation, I face an opponent who will allow me to demonstrate the true power of fundamental forces. Prepare to be dispersed into component atoms, flesh creature. Maya surveys the electrical wonderland around them, then notices something the arena designers probably thought was just decorative detail. She walks over to what appears to be the main power coupling for the entire arena system. "Hey Zap, before we start, I just want to make sure I understand the rules correctly. There's nothing that says I can't interact with the environment, right? Of course you may flail helplessly at your surroundings before I destroy you." Zap replies with electrical smugness. Maya nods thoughtfully, pulls out what appears to be a multi-tool from her pocket, and proceeds to disconnect the main power coupling to the arena's electrical grid. The lights flicker, then go out entirely. In the sudden darkness, there's a confused crackling sound, followed by what can only be described as the noise of pure energy having an existential crisis. "Wait," Zap's voice comes through the emergency backup speakers, sounding significantly less confident. "Where did all the electricity go? I was powered by the arena's electrical systems. I need electricity to maintain my form. This seems like cheating. Show me where in the rulebook it says I can't unplug things." Maya replies cheerfully as the emergency lighting reveals Zap flickering like a dying light bulb. "But that's just," Zap sputters, literally, as his energy form begins to disperse. "Physics," Maya suggests helpfully. The match ends when Zap's energy signature falls below the minimum threshold required to maintain consciousness. He spends his last few moments of coherence muttering about the unfairness of beings who understand basic electrical systems. As Maya advances to the championship finals, the Galactic audience sits in stunned silence. Betting pools across 17 star systems experience unprecedented chaos as odds makers try to recalculate the probability of a human who wins fights by being unreasonably practical. Vex Murderclaw, watching from the champion's preparation area, experiences his first moment of actual concern in over 3 years. He's just witnessed a human eliminate 3 opponents without throwing a single punch, and he's beginning to suspect that either he's been overthinking combat for his entire career, or Maya Rodriguez is the most terrifying opponent he's ever faced. Possibly both. The championship finals arrive with all the pomp and circumstance of a galactic coronation crossed with a public execution. The arena transforms into something that can only be described as the architectural fever dream of someone who watched too many gladiator movies while suffering from a severe case of cosmic megalomania. Towering obsidian walls rise from crystalline floors that pulse with energy patterns while floating platforms drift through the air like islands of impossible geometry. Glorb Smoothtalk's voice reaches new heights of dramatic excess as he addresses the audience of several trillion beings across known space. "Ladies, gentlemen, gaseous entities, and distinguished hive minds, we have reached the culmination of combat perfection. In one corner, we have the reigning champion, the apex predator of virtual violence, the living embodiment of why the universe needs therapy, Vex Murderclaw." The arena erupts in a sound that transcends mere cheering and enters the realm of cosmic phenomena. Vex emerges from his preparation chamber, looking like something that escaped from the nightmares of a particularly creative demon. His scales have been polished to mirror brightness, his claws have been sharpened to molecular precision, and his eyes glow with the kind of predatory intelligence that makes entire species reconsider their life choices. "I have spent 3 cycles perfecting my craft," Vex announces, his voice carrying the kind of authority that makes tectonic plates pay attention. "I have studied 17,000 different combat techniques from across the known galaxy. I have mastered weapons that don't technically exist yet, and fighting styles that violate several laws of physics. I have defeated champions from civilizations so advanced they consider our current technology to be quaint historical artifacts." He begins his intimidation display, a carefully choreographed demonstration of violence that has been refined over years of making opponents question their career choices. Claws extend with sounds like swords being unsheathed. Muscles ripple in patterns that suggest they have their own gravitational field. His roar contains harmonics that resonate with the fundamental frequencies of fear itself. I have dissected the combat methodologies of every species represented in this tournament. I know the physiological weaknesses of carbon-based life forms, the structural limitations of crystalline entities, the energy distribution patterns of plasma beings, and the psychological pressure points of artificial intelligences. I am not merely a fighter, I am a living database of how to efficiently eliminate every form of life in the known galaxy. The crowd's roar intensifies to the point where several nearby star systems register seismic activity, and in the other corner, Glorb continues, his voice taking on the tone of someone introducing a particularly adorable hamster to a convention of hawks. We have Maya Rodriguez, the human who has somehow advanced to the finals through what can only be described as a series of increasingly improbable accidents mixed with what our xenopsychology experts are calling either brilliant tactical innovation or the most sophisticated form of warfare ever developed by a species that still uses fossil fuels. Maya emerges from her preparation area, eating what appears to be a granola bar and wearing the same jeans and t-shirt she started with, now accessorized with a borrowed championship tournament jacket that's 3 sizes too large for her. She waves to the audience with the casual friendliness of someone greeting neighbors at a backyard barbecue. "Hi everyone," she says into the arena's amplification system, her voice carrying to every corner of galactic space with the same energy most people use to order coffee. "This has been really fun so far. I've learned so much about different alien cultures and combat techniques. Although I have to say, you all seem to make fighting way more complicated than it needs to be." The silence that follows could have been used to calibrate atomic clocks. Vex stares at Maya with the intensity of someone trying to solve a puzzle that might explode if answered incorrectly. "Human, do you understand the magnitude of this moment? This is the apex of combat competition across 17 star systems. This is where legends are forged and lesser beings are rendered into their component elements. This is not a social gathering." Maya nods thoughtfully while finishing her granola bar. "I get that you're really passionate about fighting, and that's cool. Everyone needs hobbies. But have you ever tried meditation? You seem like you carry a lot of tension in your shoulders. That can't be good for your long-term spinal health." Vex's eye twitches in a way that suggests several psychological breaking points are being approached simultaneously. "I do not require spinal health advice from a species that still experiences back pain." Fair point, Maya concedes. Although technically, back pain is usually caused by poor posture and weak core muscles, not by species evolution. "Have you considered yoga? There are some great videos online that could help with flexibility and stress management." The galactic audience watches this exchange with the fascination of beings witnessing either the birth of a new form of psychological warfare or the most elaborate practical joke in recorded history. Glorb, sensing that his carefully planned dramatic buildup is being derailed by discussions of wellness routines, intervenes with professional desperation. "Contestants, please prepare for arena environment selection. Vex, as reigning champion, you have the privilege of choosing our battleground." Vex's expression shifts to something that could best be described as predatory satisfaction mixed with the anticipation of someone about to demonstrate a particularly impressive magic trick. "I choose the volcanic hellscape of maximum destruction. Lava flows, unstable terrain, extreme temperature variations, toxic atmospheric conditions, and gravitational anomalies that make traditional movement impossible. It is an environment designed to test every aspect of combat capability while simultaneously trying to kill anyone foolish enough to enter it." The arena begins its transformation, and within moments they're standing on a landscape that looks like the inside of a volcano having an argument with a tornado. Lava flows carve glowing rivers through jagged obsidian formations. The air shimmers with heat that makes everything look like it's underwater. Gravity shifts in random patterns that make simply standing upright a significant achievement. Steam vents release clouds of gases that would be toxic to most known forms of life. "This is my domain," Vex announces, somehow managing to look perfectly at home in conditions that would make most beings spontaneously combust. "I have trained in environments like this for years. The heat enhances my natural abilities. The unstable terrain favors my species' superior balance and reflexes. The toxic atmosphere is filtered by my advanced respiratory system. You are about to learn why I am called the Apex Warlord." Maya looks around the hellish landscape with the expression of someone evaluating real estate options. "Wow, this is really intense. Very dramatic. Although, could I make one tiny little modification to the environment? Just a small adjustment that probably won't affect anything important. Vex laughs, a sound like avalanches having philosophical discussions. You wish to modify the arena of your destruction. Very well, human. What pathetic alteration do you propose? Maya points to the lava flows with the casual gesture of someone indicating a pothole that needs fixing. Could we just lower the viscosity of those lava streams by about 40%? Make them a little more flowy. The arena's environmental controls, programmed to accommodate reasonable requests from competitors, implement the change without question. The lava flows become noticeably more liquid, moving faster and with less resistance. Is that all? Vex asks, genuinely puzzled. You could have requested environmental advantages, defensive modifications, or terrain alterations that might give you some minimal chance of survival, and instead you made the lava slightly more dangerous. Yeah, that should do it. Maya replies, then adds with the kind of innocent curiosity that should have triggered every warning system in Vex's considerable tactical database. By the way, do you happen to know how much you weigh? Just rough estimate is fine. Vex flexes proudly, mistaking this for admiration of his physical prowess. I am 870 pounds of perfectly evolved combat machinery. Every ounce optimized for maximum destruction capability. Cool, Maya says, then pulls out her phone and starts doing what appears to be math calculations. And you usually charge at opponents pretty fast, right? Like really get up some speed before impact. Indeed. Vex confirms, beginning his pre-combat stretching routine, which looks like something that should be accompanied by ominous orchestral music. My charging attacks have been measured at velocities that approach the theoretical limits of terrestrial movement. I build momentum that becomes an unstoppable force of annihilation. That's fascinating. Maya says, putting her phone away and cracking her knuckles with the satisfied expression of someone who has just solved a particularly interesting physics problem. Physics is really amazing when you think about it. The final countdown begins, echoing through the arena with the inevitability of cosmic destiny. Vex assumes his combat stance, a pose that suggests he's about to demonstrate why the universe needs better security measures. His claws gleam in the lava light. His muscles coil with potential energy that could probably power small cities. Maya, meanwhile, takes off her oversized tournament jacket and ties it around her waist, then does some casual stretching that looks more appropriate for a morning jog than Mortal Kombat. 10. The countdown announces. Vex's eyes begin to glow with predatory anticipation. 9. Maya checks her shoelaces to make sure they're properly tied. 8. The galactic audience holds its collective breath across 17 star systems. 7. Vex's claws extend to their full terrifying length. 6. Maya looks around the volcanic hellscape one more time, nodding with the satisfaction of someone who has just figured out exactly how all the pieces fit together. 5. Glorb's commentary voice reaches frequencies that suggest he's experiencing some kind of religious awakening. Beings across the galaxy, we are about to witness either the most spectacular victory in championship history, or the most educational demonstration of why humans should stick to safer hobbies like extreme volcano surfing. 4. Vex begins to vibrate with barely contained violence. 3. Maya assumes what can only be described as a casual standing position, hands in her pockets. 2. The moment stretches like elastic reality, pregnant with the potential for cosmic-scale violence or cosmic-scale embarrassment. 1. The arena holds its breath. Fight. What happens next will be studied in physics classrooms across the galaxy for generations to come, assuming anyone believes the recordings are real and not the product of some elaborate computer simulation designed to teach lessons about overconfidence and the importance of understanding basic Newtonian mechanics. Vex Murderclaw launches himself forward with all the devastating power of 870 pounds of Apex Predator accelerated to maximum velocity. His charge shakes the volcanic landscape, sending tremors through the obsidian formations and causing several lava geysers to erupt in sympathetic excitement. He is a living missile of destruction, claws extended, roar building to frequencies that make nearby tectonic plates nervous, moving with the kind of unstoppable momentum that has ended careers, civilizations, and in one memorable case, an entire moon. Maya Rodriguez takes exactly one step to her left. Physics, that most impartial and unforgiving of universal constants, takes over from there. Vex, committed to his devastating charge attack and possessing all the aerodynamic properties of a very large, very angry brick, discovers that momentum equals mass times velocity, and that neither mass nor velocity particularly care about reputation, fighting experience, or the number of championship titles displayed on one's trophy shelf. He hits the modified lava flow at approximately 60 miles per hour. The lava, now with 40% reduced viscosity thanks to Maya's thoughtful environmental modification, offers about as much resistance as chocolate syrup having an existential crisis. Vex skids across the surface like the galaxy's most dangerous hockey puck, his claws completely useless against the liquid rock, his superior balance and reflexes utterly irrelevant when there's nothing solid to balance against. The sight of the apex predator of the known galaxy hydroplaning across a lava flow while making sounds that can only be described as confused roaring, mixed with the dawning realization of poor tactical decisions, will be replayed on galactic highlight reels until the heat death of the universe. Vex slides across the entire width of the arena, ricochets off 3 separate obsidian formations, accidentally extinguishes 2 lava geysers through the sheer force of his passage, and finally comes to rest in what the arena's safety systems diplomatically classify as environmental elimination due to contestant interaction with hazardous terrain features. The silence that follows could have been used to recalibrate the fundamental constants of reality. Maya walks to the edge of the lava flow and calls out, "Are you okay over there? That looked like it might have hurt. Do you need me to call a medic, or do you have some kind of advanced healing factor?" Vex's response is a series of sounds that his translator renders as how. What? The laws of physics are apparently more binding than I previously calculated. The arena's elimination sensors, after running several diagnostic checks to make sure they haven't experienced some kind of system malfunction, reluctantly declare Maya Rodriguez the winner of the Galactic Combat Simulation Championship. Glorb Smoothtalk's commentary voice reaches frequencies that suggest he's having some kind of spiritual awakening. Ladies and gentlemen and various gaseous entities, what did we just witness? Did she just defeat the apex predator of known space by turning the floor into a slip and slide? Maya shrugs with the casual modesty of someone who just won a local trivia contest. Momentum equals mass times velocity. The more mass you have and the faster you're moving, the harder it is to change direction when you hit something slippery. It's really basic physics. We learned this stuff in high school. The galactic audience sits in stunned silence as the implications sink in. The most sophisticated warriors from the most advanced civilizations in known space have been competing in a contest that a human teenager could have won with a basic understanding of classical mechanics. But what about combat training? Sputters a reporter android. Advanced weaponry. Evolutionary advantages. Thousands of years of martial tradition. Those are all great, Maya replies, but they don't really help if you can't adapt to changing environmental conditions. Plus, everyone was so focused on complicated fighting techniques that they forgot to consider simple solutions. Sometimes the best strategy is just to let physics do the work for you. The victory ceremony occurs in a state of barely controlled chaos. Maya is presented with the championship crystal of ultimate combat supremacy, which she accepts while asking if it comes with a certificate of authenticity, and whether the prize money can be direct deposited to her Earth bank account. "Do you guys take credit cards?" she asks, examining the championship trophy. "Because I'm not sure how to declare intergalactic prize money on my tax returns, and I really don't want to deal with an IRS audit." The aftermath of Maya's victory sends shockwaves through galactic civilization that are still being felt in academic circles today. Combat schools across 17 star systems revise their curricula to include basic physics courses. The phrase "have you considered just sidestepping" becomes the galaxy's most popular tactical advice. Several warrior cultures undergo complete philosophical revolutions after realizing their entire martial traditions could be defeated by a human with a high school education. Vex Murderclaw, after being extracted from the arena by a team of specialized rescue androids, approaches Maya during the post-championship interviews with the expression of someone whose entire worldview has been reorganized by a cosmic forklift. "Human," he says, his voice carrying a humility that makes several nearby recording devices malfunction from the sheer unprecedented nature of it. "I must know. How did you develop such sophisticated combat analysis? What ancient human fighting traditions taught you to identify weakness in seemingly superior opponents?" Maya finishes filling out the tax forms for her prize money before answering. "Oh, I just watched everyone fight and noticed that you all seem to have the same basic problem. You were so focused on being impressive that you forgot to be practical. Also, I've seen a lot of action movies, and the overconfident bad guy always loses because they underestimate the scrappy underdog. It's like basic storytelling. You defeated me. With narrative analysis and physics," Maya adds helpfully. "Physics is really important too. 6 months later, Maya Rodriguez has established the galaxy's first interspecies conflict resolution consulting firm, with offices on 12 different planets and a client list that includes 3 former galactic warlords, 2 cosmic emperor, and 1 very confused artificial intelligence that accidentally achieved sentience while trying to calculate the probability of Maya's victory. Her first client, surprisingly, is Vex Murderclaw, who has traded his championship title for a career in anger management therapy and interpretive dance. His business card now reads former Apex Predator, current emotional wellness coordinator, and he teaches a surprisingly popular class called Finding Your Inner Zen Through Controlled Violence. When asked about his career change, Vex explains, "Maya taught me that the most powerful force in the universe isn't superior firepower or advanced combat techniques. It's the ability to think clearly under pressure and find simple solutions to complex problems." Also, interpretive dance is surprisingly therapeutic for species with anger management issues. Maya's victory speech, delivered to the galactic audience with all the gravitas of someone announcing the lunch specials at a small-town diner, has become required viewing in philosophy courses across known space. I think the real lesson here is that sometimes we make things way more complicated than they need to be. Whether it's fighting or problem solving, or just figuring out how to get along with people who are different from us, the best approach is usually just to step back, look at the situation objectively, and remember that we're all basically just trying to figure things out as we go along. Also, physics is your friend. Learn some basic physics, it's really useful. And thus ends the story of how a human girl with a peanut butter sandwich and a basic understanding of classical mechanics accidentally revolutionized galactic combat theory, founded an interspecies consulting empire, and proved that sometimes the most sophisticated strategy is just knowing when to step to the left. The galaxy is still trying to figure out whether this was the most educational experience in their recorded history, or the most expensive lesson about the dangers of overthinking simple problems. Probably both.